All right, I'm going to talk about agreeing on definitions and semantic manipulation. So we need to agree on definitions. If we don't agree on definitions, we actually cannot have a debate or a discussion or an argument about anything because we don't agree upon what something is. If we don't agree on that, we can't talk about it, we can't debate it, right? For example, if one person defines freedom as non-interference by government and another defines it as access to basic needs provided by government, their debate about how to protect freedom will go nowhere. They aren't even talking about the same thing. So that's why we need to agree on definitions. Okay? Otherwise, we can't have a conversation, we can't have a debate, we can't have an argument, we can't get anywhere. All right? So this is what leads to semantic manipulation. So one part is when someone changes or uses a word differently than it is understood and used historically, right? So a racist used to mean someone who treats someone else differently based on the color of their skin. Now it is applied so broadly and in so many different scenarios that there isn't really a real meaning anymore, right? This kind of goes into the next one. An anti-Semite used to mean a man who hated Jews. Now it means a man who is hated by Jews, right? I think a lot of us have seen that nowadays, but you get the point of how these words are being, these definitions are being changed, and now we're talking about two different things. Whereas when I call someone an anti-Semite, I actually mean that they do not like Jews, versus some Israeli or some boomer or some fundamentalist Christian, they might call someone anti-Semitic just because they criticize Israel, right? Going back to the racist term, I might criticize black culture, but I don't treat black people differently based on their skin color. However, just because I criticize black culture, a lot of people will think I'm racist. I think a lot of us understand this, and that's why it's important for semantic have the same definitions of words, right? Because otherwise, again, we can't have conversations. Um, and another one, what do you mean by that? When everyone has had the same definition for thousands of years, this is really common with Jordan Peterson. He'll usually say, "What do you mean by belief? What do you mean by that?" It's like, dude, we've all meant the same thing by this word for like thousands of years. Stop with the semantics. And a woman is whoever feels like a woman. That's not a definition, and that's not true. So again, continuing along with like the woman thing. So throughout 99% of humanity in recorded history, a woman has been someone who has XX chromosomes, who produces eggs, and they have a vagina. That's been what a woman has been for literally all of humanity. It's only within the past like 15 years where people have suddenly changed the definition of woman, and this is why the two sides can't agree on it and can't talk about it, because they're not talking about the same thing, right? Republicans agree on that definition, Democrats have a different definition, and they therefore cannot debate policies towards women. They don't even mean the same thing. They're not talking about the same thing. And this is why we cannot have debates or arguments. We're not even talking about the same thing. And that's why it's important to have the same definition of words. People need to stop changing the definition of words. And before you debate someone, you have to agree on terms. Talk to them and say, hey, this is what we mean by this is what we mean by that, and if we agree on this, then we can move forward. There are so many times where people are debating where they just agree to a debate and they get into it and they get paid for it, and that's why they do it. And it's such a waste of time because no one agrees on the same definitions of words. Before debates happen, we have to agree on the same definitions of words, whether it's just like a YouTube debate or a presidential debate. We need to start defining words clearly so that people do not get confused and mixed up and manipulated. All right, bye.